Um, so you're a bit of a star in the Astro community.
Well, I like stars. I like rocket ships. I my company is called Rising Star, and then whatever I do, like I have a couple of them. But yeah, I make a lot of memes.
That is a fact. Which
Yeah.
crazy is, I mean, it made me show my age, but I don't even know how you do that.
I use Canva. Like the hardest part is thinking of them. At the end of every single day, I sit down, I put my feet up, and I spend about like 5 minutes just sitting there quiet until a thought comes to mind of what I'm going to make. And some of them are crappy, but also some of them are home runs. Like broke realtors giving financial advice. That one's a great one.
I haven't seen it, but I like the theory. You know, it's funny. Back in the day, I used to work for newspapers before the internet. And people used, there used to be an article about financial advice in the paper like every Sunday. And I used to get because I sold advertising in the paper. And I used to get customers saying, what do you think about this article? And I'm like, you're taking financial advice, because I knew the person that wrote it. And I'm like, what I would suggest to you is someday drive down to the newspaper that I worked at, go into the parking lot and see what kind of person, or what kind of car that person that writes that financial article is driving. If it ain't a Mercedes, you might want to not read that article. And by the way, the person who wrote that financial article was not driving a Mercedes.
Right? Dude, so many people are doing that.
Yeah. And, that's why I don't go out there a lot and try to preach like I'm a real estate guru or anything like that. Not being said, if you've done 2, 3, 4,000 transactions, yeah, you're a guru.
What car do you drive?
Me, I got a F-150 pickup truck.
Nice. I was teasing you.
No, I mean I've had Jaguars in the past and stuff like that, but as I've gotten older, I live a truck lifestyle.
I like trucks, but I don't know. I don't have a good excuse for not having one. I like one. Maybe I'll get one. For a while, I was driving a Yukon XL, but that thing fucking guzzles gas. And for one person to drive around a Yukon XL is just, it's not realistic.
Yeah. But that being said, you do live in the Great White North. I'll bet you that thing was a tank in the snow.
Yeah. Bro, that thing is a tank in the snow. You know how many curbs I would go over? Dude, we had like a good 2.5 feet of snow. And then the snow plow came by and like it covered my driveway, right? So I'm not even kidding. I had like a good 4 feet of snow, like 3.5 to 4 feet of snow. I just fucking full send right through it.
Ain't that about normal when in winter time that just about the time you get the driveway shoveled out or blown out, truck comes by and just fills it right back in.
Yeah, exactly. It's that like heavy wet snow.
Yeah. So you're like 30 miles north of Toronto, right?
Well, see, we do things in we base our measurements off of the stars, the freezing and boiling point. But I'm about 50 kilometers north of Toronto.
So about 30 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot that's right. You're in kilometers. The whole world's in kilometers, except for the one country in the world that doesn't follow it. I think it's us and Bhutan.
I know, right? America's like, okay, my foot is about this big. All right, so it's about 10 of my feet.
You know where that comes from? Comes from the King of England. Comes from King George.
Really, eh?
The foot is based off of that's the size of his foot.
Wow.
Oh, you don't even know. I have a degree in physics from the University of Arizona. And when I read this, I had to read it like 7 times and then hand my physics book to my study partner, like, read this and tell me it doesn't say what I'm reading. This is gonna blow your mind. Do you ever wonder how the Fahrenheit system came up with the number 32 and the number
A drunk
100.
mathematician rolling dice?
What's that?
Was it a drunk mathematician rolling dice?
You would think, but the number 32, which is the number that water freezes at, and 212 is those
Hmm.
numbers are extrapolated from the average rectal temperature of a cow.
Oh my God.
I
Wow.
read that in a thermodynamics book in the first paragraph, and I'm like, I had to read it like 7 times.
Oh my God. Who stuck their finger in a cow?
I don't want to know, but it was probably Mr. Faraday.
Wow. So yeah, here in Canada we do things differently. We base our distance off of the stars, and we base our temperatures off of freezing and boiling.
Yes, I'm familiar with the metric system. But yeah, I mean, I read that. I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Yeah, and why we never fit in the 70s. They were. I remember being in school where we had to learn the metric system because the United States was switching over. Because I think I was. I'm not kidding. I think in the United States and Bhutan are the only countries that use the standard system. The rest of the world is
Mhm.
on metric. But I don't know why our country never finished switching over.
Yeah. I don't know. America is interesting. It's definitely cool, but it's also got its quirks.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So anyway, you got any hot deals going on down here in America?
I'm out of inventory at the moment. I just sold two.
So I saw your post about you were going to pay somebody $500 to do a walkthrough in Port Charlotte.
Yeah, that one died like the dinos.
Oh,
You know that one was an interesting one. I was really busy when I was working that one, and it was also a tight deal. And I didn't even get anybody out into the property until the ninth day of on the ninth day of the inspection. I called the real estate agent. I'm like, yeah, I've been working hard with my lender to make this one happen, and like he's telling me that I gotta get it, lower. So she ended up doing a price drop from 216 to 200, and I hadn't even sent anybody out to the property yet. And she's telling me, she's like, okay, but like if I do this price drop, like your EMD is gonna go hard immediately. So on that day, I called up a buyer of mine, and I'm like, go get your booty out to the property. And he was about to get his booty out to the property. It was about like I was gonna do everything simultaneous. And then she's like, oh no, never mind. The seller no longer wants to sell to you. I'm like, oh fuck. Uh, it was because I used up all of my inspection period, and I didn't even send anybody out into the property until the very end when I was just about to send somebody. And then she's like, no, fuck you.
what was the ARV on that one? Because
I
you
don't
said it
blame
was a
her.
tight deal.
That one was kind of it was crap. The issue is that though there was a solid flip that happened in that neighborhood and sold, I put it under contract at 216. Then she retraded down to 200. It needed about 60K in renos, and it had an ARV of 339. So it was already a tight one. But the issue is that there was a whole bunch of as is sales in that neighborhood. So a whole bunch of people just buying dated properties and not caring if they're renovated or not. So the feedback I was getting back from the buyers was people don't really care for renovated properties in this neighborhood. So why would I buy it and renovate it? I'm going to have a hard time selling it. Very valid feedback.
People, they were telling you people don't buy renovated properties in that neighborhood.
Well, the data was showing that people are buying as is properties, like they're buying dated properties, and they're not really caring to fix them up. So it's a better rental neighborhood than it is a fix and flip neighborhood.
Gotcha. So that one fell apart on you, huh?
Yeah, that one died like the dinos.
Yeah, that happens every once in a while, actually, where they just fall apart on you.
Exactly. But I figured it didn't hurt to take a jab at it.
Absolutely. I have done something in your video. I don't know what I did.
Oh.
Oh, there it is. I want to make you big again. There we go. Oh, almost got it right. There we go. That's better. But yeah, because I know we've been chatting back and forth, and I know you're moving a fairly decent amount of deals, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Not
I
all.
mean, comparison is the thief of joy. Like I could compare myself to Jamil, or I could compare myself to starving kids.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you have 80 people that work for you?
When you say work for me, do you mean as employees or as in partners?
Or people that you've sold franchises to?
That I sell franchises to?
What I mean is Jamil has 80 people that work for him. What, the people that work for his, franchises. So yeah, when you got
Yeah,
80 people working for you, you're going to be able to do a lot of deals.
exactly. Yeah. So see, I'm not doing enough.
If you're a one-man band, yeah, doing 80 deals is going to be really, really, really hard.
On July 15th, I'm going to be taking on a dispo partner. So somebody that's going to work exclusively with me, building my buyers list and selling my deals for me.
Yeah,
So kind of excited for that. Little bit curious to see how it goes. I'm hoping for the best, but it's going to be like a beta testing phase.
so tell me about the structure of that. How is that going to be an employee, or is that going to be a partner? Is that going to be an equity partner? Is it going to be like a like a salary on draw or something?
Yeah, so the way that I'm planning on doing it, and I'm gonna be tweaking it a bit as I get up to it, but this person is gonna get a percentage. So they're gonna get like 40% or 30% of everything they sell. I'll do the acquisition side. They'll be building my buyers list. So they'll be on an auto dialer with a cash buyers list. They're going to be cold calling those cash buyers, pre-vetting them. So on the phone, they're just going to pretty much say like, "Hey, are you a buyer? Yes, no. If yes, then build a little bit of rapport and say, hey, I'm going to hang up on you, and or after I let you go, I'm going to text you a form. You're going to fill out the form, and we're going to send you deals based on what you want." So after they hang up the form, it'll send them an automatic text from my Go High Level with a form that they can fill out. And once they fill out that form, it's going to automatically tag them in my CRM based on the information they put in that form. Then when we do have deals for them to sell, that dispo agent is going to go and call any buyers in that neighborhood. So they're going to go into the Go High Level system. They're going to say, buyers in this criteria, send the deal to them. So it's going to send an SMS to all of them. It's going to send an email blast to all of them. And then afterwards, the ones that have not responded, they're going to be set for a manual call task. And that dispo agent is going to manually call them. Then collect any feedback. So if it's a no, why is it a no? Update the buy box. If it's an offer below, why is it an offer below? Update the notes. If it's a yes, then set an appointment and assign it.
That's an amazing system.
So very systematized.
Did you come up with that system, or is that part of your mentorship program?
I built this system myself. Well, like so I mean, what I've done so far. So the dispo side, this is like what I'm building at the moment. It's not fully complete yet, but it's like I have it all mapped out. Are you familiar with Figma?
No, what's Figma?
Okay, so I have like a coding brain and an algorithm brain. So like I mapped it all out. So like I have it entirely mapped out. I have the structure of it built. Now what I need to do is I just need to like put it into the system. So for July 15th, I'll have it all set up, ready to go. But right now I have it all built out on paper. It's just a matter of like actually putting the pieces of code together. But the hardest part is building out the algorithm. So that's already done.
And you wrote the code yourself?
I'll No. So like nowadays you don't really need to write code. But here I'll send you what it is. Dun, dun, dun. Tool B. Okay, I just sent you the link for my Figma map. This is my business process.
Did you text
So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have as much of it automated as possible because that automation is scalable. Manual tasks are not as scalable.
How did you send it to me? Did you hear that? How did you send it to me? Because I don't have it in chat and I don't have it in my text.
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
I can like hear you very quietly. There we go. How about that? Can you say it right?
That's better. Yeah.
That's my apologies. I when I was moving my phone there, I accidentally hit a different audio output. I missed what you said there.
Yeah. I don't think you sent it to me because it's not in chat. And I didn't get it via text.
I just sent it to 863-225-3575. Dude, you got a couple of numbers.
Huh?
You got a couple of numbers.
Yeah, I got a couple of numbers. A lot of different things that I'm doing.
Where did I first come across you?
You and I started. I answered some of your posts in the Astro Elite Facebook group. Yeah. And basically, we just got chatting back and forth. And one of the things that I thought was amazing is because I get a lot of because I've been doing this for 20 years, I get a lot of people asking me questions. And the thing that people don't understand is get good at doing one thing and do it consistently. And you're the one person out there that's posting your results every day. And you don't miss it.
Good or bad?
It's like, what's that?
Good and bad. I always post them, even during the mastermind. Somebody made a comment. They're like, "Dude, you even posted during the mastermind. You spent like 13 hours on or 13 minutes on the dialer, and posted like you had 3 conversations." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still gonna post it." Like,
but the thing is, the thing that makes you successful and will make anybody successful is consistency every single day. One of the things people don't get is marketing is boring. But you got to do it every day.
Yeah, like right now I have the eyes on me, so I need to keep the eyes on me at all costs. Which is even if I have a bad day and my KPIs are bad, I still have to post. If I were to sit around and do fuck all day, like that's okay. I still have to post because I got to keep those eyes. Otherwise, they'll go look at something else.
100%. And it's I mean, the thing that really caught my attention, I'm like, I gotta get to know Nate, is because since March 1st, your dialers made 50,000 phone calls.
I wonder what I'm at now. Let me check.
Yeah, exactly.
Lately, over like the past week and a half, it's been taking a dip because I went to the mastermind, and I'm a Canadian, so I like had to fly all the way here, all the way back.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me check.
While you're doing that, I'm making sure I got your message. All right. The Figma file that you sent me, what is that for again? Oh, that's just the whiteboard on your structure flow, right?
Yeah. So 53,000 dials is what I've done so far since March 1st.
Right, but since the last time we spoke last week, you've made 3,000 phone calls.
Yeah.
So
let me.
So what you're saying is you're dialing 3,000 realtors here in Florida, which is all of them, but you're dialing 3,000 realtors a week, right? On average.
Well, looking at the last week, it says 1,335 over the past week, which I wouldn't consider that to be like my average data, just because
you were away at the mastermind.
Yeah, I was away. So here, let's pull like the week prior. Yeah, about 3,300 per week. What's this week? 4,000 on that week. Yeah, like 3,000. I would say about 3,500 a week.
Right. Which makes me think, when I bought Astro Blaster, they give you the realtors for one city in Florida. But I was thinking, like you did, you got a list of all the realtors in Florida. So you're just uploading that whole spreadsheet into the dialer, and the dialer's just going down through all of them. And you got 3 lines going, or how many lines you got going?
Yeah, it's triple line dialer, and I have there's 100,000 agents that I need to dial, and since I've dialed like I think there's, I don't know, whatever number I just told you, 53,000 or 54,000.
Yeah.
That I'm remaining. I have about 45,000 agents remaining. 20,000 of those are in Miami, and then like 4,000 in Palm Bay, and like a couple other. Like I literally have. Let's see, how many counties do I have left? I'm almost done.
And then you'll start the process
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah. So right now I have Palm Beach, Broward, Miami-Dade, and Monroe County left, and then I would have dialed every single agent except for in Panhandle. I'm not going to touch Panhandle because that area sucks.
So what you're talking about is basically Melbourne and the east coast of Florida down to Key West. That's the counties you're talking about.
All the states.
Yeah, that's the counties you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so we got Duval, Clay, St. John's, Putnam, Flagler, Alachua, Levy, Marion, Citrus, Lake, Summer, Hernando, Orange, Seminole, Volusia, Brevard, Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, Okeechobee, Osceola, Polk County, Hillsborough, Pinellas, Manatee, Hardy, Highlands, Glades, Henry, Lee, Charlotte, DeSoto, Hardy, Manatee, Sarasota, Collier. Those are all, oh, and Martin County. Those are all the ones that I've done so far.
Yeah.
Like where I've dialed every single realtor with the cell phone.
Yep. So that's Jacksonville, Daytona, down I-4 to Tampa, and then down I-75 down to Fort Myers, Cape Coral.
Yeah.
I know my state.
Yeah. I don't. I'm a Canadian. Sometimes people will like say a state, and I'll be like, "Oh, what state is that in?"
Well, if you, I don't know if you're into scuba diving, but if you are, come on down. I'll take you scuba diving.
Oh no. I went to Miami and I drowned in a swimming pool. It cost me $174,000 hospital bill, but I spent $60 on insurance. So like best $60 ever spent.
Hold a second. You went swimming in a pool and almost died?
Yeah. Okay. So in January, I went to Miami with is the worst. It wasn't like an intentionally. It was an innocent mistake.
Hold a second. You did this year?
Yeah. Yeah. So I met up with these people on a Discord server, a real estate Discord server, and they're all like, "Yo, let's go to this event in Miami." I'm like, "Okay, cool, let's go." So I meet up with these strangers that I met online, and we're hanging out. Like we went to the real estate event, and then we go to this adult mini golf place, and that's the last thing I remember. Apparently, I had drowned in a 5-foot deep swimming pool, which is a ridiculous thing to do when I'm 6 feet tall. And when I woke up 2 days later after like I nearly died, and there was 2 police officers, and they're like, "What's with the benzodiazepines in your system?" And I'm like, "What? I don't do drugs."
Did you get
so? I mean, well, that's what it adds up to. I mean, like I have no proof. I have no proof that like I got like I mean there's benzodiazepines in my system, and I don't smoke weed, I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't do anything, I don't drink, nothing. Like I am the most straight kid ever. But they found that in my system. And here's the funny thing though, my butthole didn't hurt, but it was 2 days later that I woke up, so maybe it tightened back up.
All right, so hang on a second. You almost died in January, and you've made 50,000 dials since March 1st.
No, I did die, and they resuscitated me. I was reading. Oh my god, bro! Like when I went to the Astro Flipping Mastermind just a little bit ago, I was able to open up because there's like this secure health portal that they had all the documents in, and I couldn't open it up while I was in Canada. So I get to the U.S. and I'm on US Wi-Fi, and I open it up and I'm reading it, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? These are all the things that happened while I was dead. And it was like I was reading, and like the doctors were saying like severe chance of mortality, and like I'm like, god damn.
And you read this about yourself.
How, like, yeah, I was reading a report about like what happened while I was dead, and they were trying to revive me.
All right, now I gotta ask, because anybody that watches this video is gonna ask, did you go into the light or did you go away from it?
Well, okay, so you should accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. I know. I literally have no clue what happened.
Good answer.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
don't remember any of it.
that's cool as shit, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that you came to Miami and got roofied. That sucks.
That's okay. I don't remember any of it. So like technically it doesn't suck. And
Yeah,
it came out a lot. Like
yeah,
no
and
loss for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing I was driving at is, and the reason I wanted to talk to you and interview you is because you're consistent, boom, 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 which is what I tell everybody all the time. You're using technology. The technology I use is batch dialer. I don't know what you're using.
Yep. I use batch dialer.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's I think most dialers are about the same, but batch dialer is just for me easier.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, the UI is fantastic.
yeah, exactly. But the thing about it is a lot of people struggle with, people that call me and ask me questions, they're struggling. And the thing I ask them is, what are your metrics? Well, I don't track my phone calls. Well, how do you know how well you're doing that?
Yeah.
If you don't know how many dials you're making, how many people you're speaking to, and how many offers you're getting out every day, you're never going to be consistent.
Dude, I was talking to this kid this morning, and like I have the virtual office going in the background. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that, right?
I
So
see it every morning when I log on to Facebook.
right, this guy comes into the virtual office and he says to me, I'm gonna try and remember, I might not say quote unquote, but he said something like, maybe it's because of the holiday, no agents are picking up, I should quit. And I'm like, how many calls have you made? You don't know how many calls this kid made? 10 calls.
I was going to
And
say,
he's telling me that he should quit because nobody's picking up. I'm like, dude, like I gave him my KPIs at the time. I'm like, so far today, it's like 308 calls. What was it? 308 calls, 32 conversations. And I think it was like around 10 of those said yes, they would send me pocket listings. And I'm like, and I just said to them, I'm like, you're not doing enough. Like you're straight up just not doing enough.
it's a straight up numbers game.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this is the phenomenon of Nate Harris. I don't know anybody who has ever called every single realtor in Florida.
Well, I'm halfway there.
That's what I'm saying. But how many?
Minus Panhandle.
I mean, I would like to know, even if the Keegley people have called all the realtors in Florida, and that's
I don't know.
God knows how many employees.
Yeah.
But that's what makes you a unicorn. And that's why I was so excited about interviewing you, because I recognize you're doing something different than everybody else.
Thank you.
Yeah. But this ain't rocket science. You're using batch. You got a list, which is real easy to get. You uploaded it, and the guy you were talking about this morning is probably dialing manually.
Oh, he's definitely hand-bombing it.
You just hit a button, 3 phone calls go out, first person answer, batch drops the other 2, connects you. You talk to him, you make notes.
Yeah, I'm having a conversation about every 3 minutes. Exactly, about every 3 minutes.
Right.
And also, as soon as I hit that button, here's the cool thing though, because I love automations. I love not doing shit. It's the most scalable thing. So as soon as I hit that will send deals button, it sends them from batch dialer to my Podio, and then from my Podio to my Go High Level. In my Go High Level, it'll send them a message saying, hey, realtor, thanks for agreeing to share potential off-market deals with me. Excited to find great opportunities. And then it'll send them a follow-up message 27 seconds later saying, here's my contact card. Let me know when you have it saved, and I'll send you my buy box. Then once they say that they have saved my contact card, it'll automatically send them another message with my buying criteria. And it's like all of that final piece to the conversation has happened hands off. They think that it's me texting them, but it's not me texting them. Now, give it a week, wait a week, and it'll automatically send them a follow-up SMS saying, hey, just checking in on the property search, wanted to make sure that you didn't forget about me. And then they'll send a message back. I'll manually reply when they respond back. And then it just like every roughly 2 weeks, it'll automatically send them another follow-up message with a whole bunch of variations that I created with ChatGPT. And then once a month, it's going to send them a ringless voicemail, pretty much saying like, hey, appreciate you looking for these deals for me. I'm trying to pick up something in the next like whatever amount of time. Please give me a call if you have anything. So now they're thinking that like they're missing my call, but really I'm just dropping RVMs.
All right, let me ask you a question. How are you getting around the ringless voicemail law here in Florida?
I'm going to plead the fifth.
Gotcha. Good answer.
Yeah.
Moving on. Nothing to see here. Yeah. What's the advantage of a ringless voicemail versus just a regular voicemail?
Dude, the time that's saved, because here was the issue that I was having. I currently have, I think, about 1,200 realtors now that I'm actively nurturing in my follow-up system. And picture this, 1,200 realtors and a manual call every single month to those 1,200 realtors. That adds up. That adds up to a lot of calls. And I was being constrained on my ability to grow my amount of new agents because of the amount of manual calls that I was doing. So I was speaking with Andy Wrong about it, and Mahmoud and a couple other very well successful people in this industry. And they're like, dude, like RVMs, like, what are you doing? Manual calling them. Send them an RVM with a call to action saying, if you have any deals, then send me a text. Because now they're only going to respond if they have a deal. And maybe report is going to go down a little bit, but the amount of time saved goes up incredibly.
Wow, that's amazing. First off, I have a t-shirt idea. I love not doing shit. I'm making that into a t-shirt, man. But
thank you, bro.
So your batch, you make a call, then it sends the lead into Podio, and then Podio sends it to high level.
Yeah, batch dialer, and then when I click on a specific call result, it'll send it into Podio, and then it'll send from Podio to go high level. Now, lots of people will be like, why don't you just send directly to go high level? They just don't integrate together. But it's also kind of cool because then I have a backup. So just in case if one of my CRMs were to go down, I'd have a backup of all my data.
That makes a ton of sense. And you built this out yourself.
Like, I consulted with a bunch of people, and I've been through the go high level support over 10 times and had like one-on-one appointments with them about how to build it out. So people will say that I built it all myself, but I asked a lot of questions building it.
I think, all right, so the cost, obviously, when you're doing deals, you probably don't think about the cost anymore, but for anybody that's new to try to build that out, batch is going to be what, $97 a month?
Oh no, it's way more expensive than that. So
really?
I broke this down. I broke this down at the mastermind.
And
somebody asked me, they're like, "What's your overhead?"
Yeah, and I'm not talking about what you're paying for dials. I'm talking about just a subscription.
Yep. So we have the main subscription, which is $139 a month for a triple line dialer.
Okay.
Now I'm going to add this up as we go. So
that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
139 plus $49 a month for the phone number reputation tracking. Then we also have 15 numbers at $4 per, which what does that come out to? 40, 50, 60, $60, I think.
Yep.
So 60 cash. So we have 139 plus 49 plus 60. Now that's the batch dialer system.
Right.
So that brings us to $250 a month for the batch dialer system. Now we have Go High Level. Go High Level costs $99 a month. So plus 99.
And you got one
and
seat.
And then I have SMS. What's that?
You just got one seat in Podio, right?
Oh yeah, 2 seats actually.
Sorry, so it's
then I have Podio. I think it's around $48 a month.
Yeah.
So yeah, plus $40 a month, and then I also pay I think around $60 a month for Zapier to like automatically send my information back and forth, so I can have the auto move from one CRM to another.
Right.
Then we also have SMS costs, and that will increase as my amount of SMS go up. Yeah. Right now, I think I'm around like $75 to $100 a month, I want to say. So we'll just be conservative and we'll say 100 a month. So we're looking at around $550 a month in overhead.
Yeah. And you're probably averaging what, 2, 3, 4 deals a month?
I need a longer span of data to be able to give you an accurate average.
But I mean, realistically, would you say your average wholesale fee is what, between 5 and 10 grand?
Well, we can calculate that if you want. Are we talking since when I started back up with Astro, or like in my entire career?
No, I'm just talking about since you put this system together. I want to give an idea of, so you're spending $550 a month to make 20 grand.
Yeah. So with this system, off of this system, I have 2 that are closing in July. So one on July 6th, one on July 14th. One of those is for 19K. One of them is for 10K. I also have another one that came from this system, but it's caught up in a lawsuit right now. Now that one, it's supposed to be a 60K spread that I'm splitting with another Astro student, but it's in a crazy lawsuit right now. Not sure what's going to happen with that. So I don't think we can accurately count it. But it takes effort, right? Like with this system, I've been feeding into it since March, and everybody's seeing my numbers. Everybody's seeing how much time and effort I'm putting into it. And we only have 2 closings set for July now. So if you're going to be doing something like this, be prepared to, spend a lot of time nurturing those agents and not expecting an immediate return. It's different from direct to seller, where people are planting carrots, harvesting their carrots, and now they have nothing left. With me, I'm planting apple trees, and I got to water those apple trees for a really long time, but they'll continue to bear fruit. Like this one agent that sent me the Clearwater deal that I just sold. He's already sending me a bunch of new things, and it's only going to be a matter of time before I get another one with him.
Because you're a reliable wholesaler that actually does what he says he's going to do.
Yeah, I try not to overpromise.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, and I've been doing this for a long time. I've lived through the last downturn, and what people don't realize is realtors are starting to starve to death because there's just not enough inventory to do deals where everybody gets paid. And what ends up happening is the really good realtors will get on the train and start feeding the people that feed them. So what ends up happening, and then the other thing is 40 to 45% of realtors will give up their licenses this year or next. So you being the reliable guy that they send a deal to you, they know they're going to get a commission check. They're going to send you more deals.
Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, I want to make a lot of money with a lot of people.
Yeah, but you got to put in the work to develop the reputation. It takes forever to develop a good reputation and about 8 seconds to destroy one.
I agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
And it was just like
I started doing this funny thing. Oh, go ahead.
It was just like you were saying on social media. The eyeballs are on you, and you got to keep posting and stay out there and out there and out there. Grant Cardone says the same thing. You got to be and he got it from Gary Vee. You got to be on social media like 7 times a day. Well, it's the same thing with the realtors. If you're calling them every 2 weeks, touching them every 2 weeks, they're going to remember who you are. You're going to be top of mind.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like 2 weeks is crazy. I have so many realtors that, they're telling me to F off and they're opting out. But I think it's good. Like, I'd rather have them opt out than for me not to text them enough. Yeah. Also, I started sending them my meme, and I started like being silly with them. So I'd send them my like feed me deals in Florida meme, and then I'd say, hey, say this is my profile pic. Because now they're never gonna forget me. They're gonna see me calling with this feed me deals in Florida meme, and they're gonna be like, oh my god, is that Nathan kid again? Like he's hounding me. I gotta get him something.
Yeah. You sent me that meme. That's on my phone. That meme is you. Feeding you deals.
I love it. My little bowl of Delios.
Yeah, Delios. You know, I kind of went the Jamil route, and I tell all my realtors, don't save me as Mike Grady, save me as Mike buys the deals, or Mike buys. I shouldn't say Mike buys the deals. Mike buys the fixers, because when they're going through their phone, they're like, oh, there's like 50,000, 50 mics in here. But if they say Mike buys the deals, they're going to remember me as being the wholesaler.
Yep.
And I got that from Jamil. You went the next step so that when they see your name, they see your picture in that meme of you, eating a bowl of Delios. That's even better because that's a visual picture.
Yeah. And I was debating. I'm debating on this right now, and I got to do some A/B testing on it. But like, I'll send them my actual contact card. So if they have an iPhone, it's super easy. It's just press the save button, and it auto populates with everything, including my profile pic. I have a professional profile pic on that contact card, but I'm debating on switching it to a meme and just seeing how people respond to it.
And the reason why is because you're separating yourself from everybody else. Think about when you're driving down the road and you're looking at a bus bench and it's the same picture of the same realtor. Some guy smiling at you in a suit and tie. But he looks like every other person that is smiling at you with a suit and tie. Now you're doing something different.
Yeah.
You're being out of the box. I think you're probably onto something there. But yeah, A/B split testing is the way to go. Man, that's amazing. I love the system that you've put together.
Thank you. I mean, there's a lot more to be built into it. It's really at the start of its journey. I was speaking with Andy Rom, and I was showing him my system, and he was showing me his, and I'm like, oh man, like I am light years behind Astro Blaster. Like he, I really admire him. Like he is such an integrator, and I wish I had more time to focus on my systems rather than to be in my systems. Because right now I have a lot of manual actions in my system that require my presence, and it takes away from my being able to work on my system. It's like the whole working in your business versus working on your business. I'm trying to pull myself out of my business to work on it, but I also don't want to do that prematurely and cause a disruption to my business.
But the first step is you're getting somebody who's going to do the act, or not do the dispo for you. Yeah, that's a big thing. The two sides of what
like, right. You know what I was thinking, like the other week, when I sold that, I don't remember which one it was. It was one of my deals that I sold, and I had sold 2 in a row to my own buyers, and I hit up 40 dispo wholesalers. Like I sent it to 40 dispo wholesalers, but ended up selling it to my own buyers. I have like 25 buyers. 25. That's very little. So here I am, like all of these dispo wholesalers they're like, yo, I have like thousands of buyers. Like, I got you. Send me your deals. But then you send them your deals and like they don't get dispoed. Now, is that maybe they have bigger fish to fry? Is that, maybe they're not actually possessing as many buyers or as quality of buyers as they say? I don't know, but it really made me think to myself that, nobody cares as much about a deal as the person that has that deal. So I might as well just keep my dispo in-house whenever possible.
And the thing about it is, all right, so you've got a system that keeps your name and your voice in front of realtors, and they feed you more and more deals. How many of these people that market themselves as having a buyer's list spend that much time staying in touch with their buyers?
I don't think they do.
That's what I'm saying. So they send out an email blast, and then they think that's marketing.
No, you got to be in front of their eyes all the time. You got to keep them looking at you. You got to have them drooling at your memes. Like, oh, when can I get the next deal?
Yeah, and that's why whenever I close a deal, I always like to send it out like, hey, I closed this deal. And people are like, why didn't you send it to me? I did. You didn't respond. That's not on me, But you got
That's a good one.
As we're marketing, out to acquire properties, you also got to have that same warm relationship with the people you're selling them to. So they know that, and again, it's kind of like, why do I get them to put my name in their cell phone as Mike Buys the Fixers. Well, the reason why is because, if they don't recognize the phone number, they're not answering it.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the people that are on, the rehabbers. If they see a phone number that they don't recognize, they're not going to answer it. But if you've got a relationship where you're talking to that person, you're touching that person every 2 weeks, they're gonna be like, oh shit, Nate's got a deal for me. I got to pick this up.
Now, here's my question: is how do I foster a relationship with buyers if I let's say I have a dry spell, right? And I don't have any deals for say 3 months. How do I continue to foster that relationship without bringing something to the table?
Provide value. Provide value. Like one of the things I do every single morning is I go out and I find articles that are related to real estate today. And then I also track a whole bunch of markets where I actually track the data. And I give it away for free. Anybody can come and take a look at it. But what they're getting is they're getting value. So when it comes to the rehabbers, send them an article, send them something that's related to their industry. Give an example of something that just happened this morning. Is one of the projects I'm working on is I'm actively marketing to buy a coin operated laundry. And I've actually got a guy who's kind of mentoring me because he owns one. And when I was talking to him, he sent me an article that the SBA just relaxed their requirements to get SBA loans to buy a business. So he sent me that article. I'm like, that was tremendous, because my strategy is to go out, buy a coin operated laundry with seller financing, wait for 12 to 18 months. Once it's seasoned, and what that means for people is seasoning is when you own the business for longer than 12 months, you now have enough experience in the eyes of the bank to be the owner. And then what you do is you go out and get an SBA guaranteed loan to refinance the seller, the owner financing out, and then any other partners you brought on to make the deal happen. But he, when I just talked, just calling him up to say, hey, listen, this is what I did, last week, and these are the 3 deals I'm working on. And he's like, hey, did you have this article? I'm like, no. And he sent it over to me. So that if you run into a dry spell, just send them out a news article that pertains to whatever they're doing.
Yeah, that is incredibly valuable. That I like that example that you've given with the SBA loan, because it's a lot of money to be made off of just somebody saying, hey, have you heard of this?
Yeah, exactly. So you're not sending them a deal, but you're sending them valuable information to let them know, I mean, you're probably selling predominantly to rehabbers, right?
Yes.
So how are the rehabbers financing their deals?
Hard money.
There you go. So any changes, anything that changes in hard money, you fire it out to them, so they can make their business better.
I like that. Like I could be sourcing cheaper hard money for them that can potentially make them act on more of my deals.
Or develop relationships with hard money lenders where, if they treat your clients right, they get some sort of discount. There's all kinds of things. I always try to approach businesses, how can I make my client's life easier? Sellers, what do we do? We solve problems by taking properties and getting them sold quickly. With rehabbers, we take away all their time and expense of having to go out and market stuff.
Reducing friction is what I call it.
Yeah.
How can you reduce as much friction as possible? Like one way that I'm trying to implement that right now is on the acquisition side with the realtors. I'm building out a form where rather than them sending me a text like with this address and then me following up with, well, what's the asking price? Where's the photos? How old is the roof? This, that, and these and those. I'm building out a form right now where they're forced to input all the information, but it's also all in one place. So it's like, hey, I
Right.
have a deal for you. Cool. Submit through this form. They put their first name, last name, phone number, motivation, condition, timeline, price, photos, asking price, and then click submit. So it's way less friction that way. And then there's no like 10 minutes of back and forth, like trying to get all the information. It's systematized for me, but it's also easier for them.
And you turn that into an electronic form.
Yeah, so right now I'm working to have it integrated properly with my Go High levels so that it'll automatically create an opportunity. Like I could send them a Google form, no problem. But I want automation as much as possible. So I want it to automatically populate in my Go High level as an opportunity with a task that says underwrite, and then from underwrite it goes to submit offer. From there it goes to acceptance, countered, or decline. And if it's countered, then it gets recountered until
It's interesting. I've seen a lot of people talk about integrating ChatGPT into this. I don't know how to do it. I'm sure I could probably figure out somebody to pay to do it. Oh, did I lose you? You're locked up. Can you hear me?
Oh, you there?
There you are. You're back.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So a lot of the things that I'm hearing from, the gurus is how to integrate ChatGPT to do this automatically, the messaging automatically. I think we're getting a wonky internet. May have lost them all. Oh, God.
Yeah. What do we?
I think your video is locking up. Can you still hear me?
Mr. Mike?
Yep, I'm still here.
How about now?
Ah, you're back.
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Your
Awesome.
video locked up there for a second.
All right. Well, since we're good to go, shall we hop back into it?
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. So how do you integrate ChatGPT into sending all these messages so they're not the same messages?
Yes. Bit of a broad question, so let's narrow it down a little bit more. There's different ways that you can use ChatGPT in your follow-ups. Number one is with your automated SMS blasts. You can ask ChatGPT like, "Hey, write me a message." Here, how did I say it? I said it to ChatGPT like, "My goal is to follow up with realtors about every 2 weeks. I want you to write an SMS message for 5 follow-ups where it slowly builds the rapport. And then it'll like give me out like 5 SMS follow-ups. So just give it as much context as possible. Like this is what you want to do. And it'll start off being kind of crummy. Now it gave me like 5 crummy follow-ups, and I just refined it a little bit more and more, saying like, I want you to emphasize this kind of tonality. I want you to be a little bit pushy. I said that I wanted to escalate to be a little bit more and more pushy. So what it did is it refined them so that now it's gonna give it with like a positive tonality, and as it moves down the pipeline, so as it gets further and further in the follow-ups, becomes more and more pushy. Just like if you and I are having a conversation, the first time we talk, it's going to be more professional, kind of laid back, but as we build a relationship, then it becomes more like, who cares, right? Like you might not have to say good morning. You could just say, "Yo, what up, Nate? Like, you got any deals?" So it changes the dynamic as it grows. And then I just say to ChatGPT, I'm like, now create me 50 of these responses or whatever number you want. And it'll build out a whole bunch of different responses. Another way that I casually use this other way in my business, and I'm probably going to be doing it more since they're going to be bringing in an actual function into Go High Level, which is if a realtor sends me some message that I'm like, whoa, how the heck do I reply to this? This is a weird message. I'll just drop the message in ChatGPT and I'll say, how can I reply to this and get whatever intention across when I reply? And then ChatGPT will give me back a good answer.
Now, and that's the way I use it. But my question for you is, how do you get ChatGPT to do that on the fly?
There is an integration that you can have in your Go High Level that just came out. It's actually in beta testing, so most people won't see it. And I haven't really had much time to play with it, but actually, when you're responding, just above the text box where you can type in your message, there's a button that will let you let ChatGPT auto generate a message. Now, I haven't played with it enough to give accurate feedback on it, but I'm sure that's going to be a pretty commonly used feature in the next coming months.
I was listening to some talk radio guys when I'm doing my data in the morning. I like to listen to them talk. It's funny, but they actually had a DJ, a female DJ, called up and was giving away tickets to whatever concert or whatever, like radio stations do. And then her name was Ann. And then after her call, she said, "Now I'm going to turn on AI Ann." And the AI actually went and called a live human and gave away the tickets, and it sounded exactly like the DJ did. I mean, and the AI was interacting with the human, and the human had no idea they were talking to a computer.
I got to figure out like what that software is, because I speak to a lot of agents, and some of these agents will be like, "Are you a robot?" And it's like, "No. What do you want me to FaceTime you?" So they're obviously getting calls from AIs where they can maintain conversations with them. They're even telling me, like, sometimes I ask them, like, "Can you elaborate on that? Like, what's going on?" And they'll be like, "Oh, like, robots will call you and like they'll seem like they're human, but they're not actually."
Yeah, and the thing that I tell everybody is it's amazing. ChatGPT's been out since November. It's June. Mm-hmm. By next year, you're going to get a phone call from somebody you're talking to a computer, and you will not be able to tell.
Yeah, I mean, humans are just organic computers at the end of the day. Like computers are built off of the same thing as the human brain. Even cameras are built off of the same thing as the human eye. Like they're just copying a human body but doing it in mechanical form
more efficiently. Yeah, but I was just wondering if there was any way right now where so the text, you send out a text and then you get a response from a realtor. ChatGPT looks at it, comes up with a response, and then sends it back. And that must be that beta thing you were talking about.
Yes, like you can use the ChatGPT auto, like it'll auto create a response, but right now you still have to manually fire it off.
Right.
And I think that's good for the testing phase, because then it lets you like actively overlook it and approve it, rather than just having it kind of go haywire and run. I don't know if the ChatGPT can quite run my business yet.
Yeah. You're right. One of the things, when I'm talking to realtors is, ever since Astro came out, they're getting like 50 to 100 texts a day now. I mean, I'm talking about the Florida realtors, because Florida's such a hot market, But yeah, their phones are just getting blown up all day long. And
they are, and that's why I love calling them.
Exactly, because now you're different.
Yep.
And a lot of people think that I'm nuts, but when I'm trying, like, I actually am sending to the owners of these coin-operated laundries, I'm actually sending them letters. Actually, you putting, handwriting it, putting a live stamp on it, and sending it out to them. That's old school, but nobody does that anymore.
You stand out.
That's the thing. Because when everybody's doing this, do that. Because you stand out. It's
another thing. Just kind of a silly idea here, but you could like Uber Eats them dinner and then just put a little note in the Uber Eats like, would you sell me that car wash or coin laundry?
I don't know if I'd go with dinner because that could get pretty pricey when I'm calling 700, owners, but
There you go.
sending them a box of donuts,
There you go. Nice and cheap.
like not a full box, like a dozen, like six.
Hmm.
When I was in the corporate world, I actually had people that were trying to sell me, whatever program, would FedEx me the contract.
Hmm.
Now, if they just, email it to you, whatever, it's going to get buried with the other 500 emails. But somebody FedEx something to you, and they would put it in like a box that looked like a gift or something. You're going to open that like right away. So that's a kick-ass idea.
Oh, for sure. It's like,
That's a kick-ass idea. I think I'm gonna try that with a couple of these own. I don't know if I'm gonna do it with all of the owners, but I'll probably do it with the ones that have actually spoken to me on the phone.
yeah, like the hot ones, the ones
Yeah,
that you just got to push over the edge.
and be different than everybody else who's bombarding them to buy their business.
Hmm.
So how do we apply that to single-family homeowners or realtors?
Well, I think realtors like to be appreciated. And I'm
Absolutely.
yet to apply it, but this is a thought that's gone through my head is perhaps, maybe sending them like $5 coffee gift cards,
Yeah.
something really cheap, but only to the really good realtors. I would do that because that can add up very quick.
Yeah.
But just that little gift could buy me. And this is kind of theoretical. I haven't tested it yet, but I would really like to, do a small like test of 100 realtors and see how it responds.
I was watching a TikTok by Gary V sometime this week, and he was talking about a guy that went in and bought a case of wine. And what he did is he
Hmm.
went into that guy's Facebook profile, or no, his Twitter account to see what he did on Twitter. And this guy was like a big hockey fan, like one of his favorite hockey players or whatever. So what did is he went out to eBay and bought that hockey player's jersey that had been signed and then mailed it to this customer,
Hmm.
shipped it. And it was
Wow.
like 3 weeks later, the guy ended up coming in and placing like a $5,000 wine order.
Oh,
So, and it was because of what Gary Vee was talking about was the personal touch. So if you got a hot realtor, maybe go in and follow what they're doing on social media and then figure out something that would motivate them based off of, what they're posting online, you know, like let's say you're working with a realtor that likes to garden or something like that, and you get a book signed by Martha Stewart Gardening or something. I don't know. But you see where I'm going with that?
yeah,
It's a
I
personal
agree.
gift.
I definitely agree. I was doing this when I was running my contracting company. It's like I would give little gifts. Like this one client, I brought her. She ended up with COVID-19 as I was working on her job. I didn't get it, but I felt kind of bad for her, and I got her these cupcakes, and she makes a post about them publicly, and I got a lot of business from that. Just those small acts of kindness. Like they were specialty cupcakes. I think they costed me around like $25 for six of them, but $25 for the amount of more clients that I got from her post and the good press that I got was definitely worth it.
Exactly. And again, when I was using Astro Blaster, I think that just it was like a sieve. It was separating out the really good realtors from the ones that, tell you to F off, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then when you get that group, like you got a 1,200 that are really good, now you're starting to do those little gifts where they're like, yeah, this guy is super cool. I'm going to send my stuff to him just because he's cool to me.
Mm-hmm. I do a lot of verbal gifts. Like I'll call these realtors and I genuinely appreciate them. Whether they brought me a deal or not, I know that they're putting in work. So I'll call them and, I'll just like, even with my voicemail drops, I'll just be like, hey, I just wanted to let you know I appreciate you. Like, thank you for really putting in all the legwork to making this happen. I know we haven't done a deal yet, but like your time and your effort is still valued. So thank you. and I won't have anything else to the conversation. It'll just be that. And these realtors will stumble to be like, what? Like thinking that I'm gonna like follow up with asking them for something. And no, I'm like, that's all I got for you. I just want to let you know I appreciate you. Thank you. And it's cool because like even though like not all of them are sending me deals yet, like the next week, like they're just so much happier. They like me more than the other guys.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing is when they're getting bombarded by all the automation, it gets tiring, But then you're the one guy that stands out. You're going to be the guy they think of. And then you also do the same thing with your buyers, so that when you get a deal, boom, you fire it off and it's gone in 24 hours.
Yeah, see, I gotta improve on my buyer side just because I haven't been investing enough time in it. I'm like pretty rusty. I gotta figure out a way to really nurture those relationships with my buyers.
I have a really great realtor down in Orlando, and she's from Maine, believe it or not. And she's when I first, through Astro Blasters, got talking to her, and within 3 months of moving to Florida and getting a job at a brokerage firm, she went from being brand new to the #1 lister. And this is this year. And how she does that is she's got a neighborhood that she farms. And all she does is, like for an hour or two every day, she takes a market analysis of the value in that particular block of houses, and she just walks up and knocks on the door. And if anybody answers, she's like, hey, my name is so and so, and I'm your local realtor, and I just want to let you know what your house is worth. And they're like, then the person's like waiting for her to like sell her something. She's like, nice to meet you. If you ever need anything, my number's on the sheet of paper. And she turns around and walks away. And homeowners are like, well, that's cool. And she does that an hour or two every day. That's her prospecting every day. And in 3 months, she went from being brand new to the #1 lister.
She's just giving. She's giving and giving and not asking anything in return. I think that's really what's setting her apart.
And I think that's what you and I are talking about, both on the realtor side and on the rehabber side. Just got to figure out,
like what you were saying about that information. Like that's a great idea. Just giving that valuable information that they can make money off of. What kind of grants could they tap into? Where are some opportunity zones? I do have to take some time to like formulate some more ideas of ways that I can give, but it's a great place to start on the buyer side.
And you know what the both of us going to do after this interview? Go to ChatGPT, like, how can I give value to
Exactly.
how can I give value to rehab? So yeah, I just think that in a, like we talked about in the beginning, in the days of more and more technology, the more of a human that you are, the more you stand out. And it's really easy to do that. I love your idea of sending, Uber Eats and some donuts to these people.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a bad idea. Maybe it'll add up way too quickly, but I know from my experience in the contracting company, like that one gift, that $25 gift, like that went very, very far. And there's actually been many other experiences in life where I've given recognition to people and it's gotten me free stuff. Like with my accountant, I made a post in the city, and you know how every city has their Facebook group. I made a post in that Facebook group just saying like, hey, this my accountant, she helped me out. I saved a lot of money on taxes, and she gave me my taxes for free. That was, I think, like 2 years ago, and then she just recently gave me my taxes for free again because that post had got so many eyeballs on her that it paid off like tenfold.
Dude, we're gonna do this like once a week. Just bounce ideas off each other. This is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Something I learned a long time ago. I still, a lot of people just like having their money. When you do a wholesale deal, you get the money transferred to your account. I still like to have them send me a check, and if it's local, I actually like to go pick the check up. And what I do when I pick the check up is I actually go buy a box of Krispy Kreme donuts. Up where you are, it's Tim Hortons.
Ooh.
And then you give the dozen donuts to the title company. You become their #1 client.
I love that. That is a fantastic idea.
And I'm doing a deal right now up in Chicago, and it's not an easy one. I got a real flaky seller. But this title company is on it. So I think when we close this deal, I'm gonna Uber Eats, find out where they're actually physically located, and then Uber Eats over a box of donuts as opposed to like I would normally do it physically myself.
Mm-hmm.
Thank to people because
Wow.
the seller's not easy to work with.
Oh man, yeah. And then you got a title company fighting for you, which is the best thing to have.
Yeah, I found a national title company that'll do subject to deals.
Really? Do you mind sharing the name?
Premier Title. I'll send you
Premier
the
Title.
info. Yeah, Premier Title. Yeah,
Awesome.
and I think it's I don't have the full name and I don't have it here in front of me, but it's Premier Title and Closing or something like that. I'll send it to you later.
Mm-hmm.
And then for anybody that
Okay,
watches
thank you.
this, I'll put it in the notes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's one of the things, now that given what's going on with the financial markets, and it's to get a new mortgage now it's 7%. I am looking for people to let me take over the 3-4% loans.
Dude, like subject to is a whole different ball game, in my opinion. It blows my mind some of the crazy deals that people will put together. You know what's funny? It's actually hilarious. Right now, I am CC'd on an email for a deal in California. It's a subject to deal, and I had nothing to do with it. They just got the wrong email and they CC'd me rather than the other guy named Nathan. So I'm like following this deal along. I'm reviewing their paperwork. I'm seeing the responses between the lender, the seller, the buyer, the title attorney or whatever it is in California. I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. And then they're tweaking the deal, so they're submitting new paperwork. I wonder if I'm gonna end up being found out that I'm not the actual Nathan, and I've just been like looking at their contracts.
If I was you're getting a $5,000 course for free. I'd be printing out every one of those.
Right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to buy and hold on single family houses, the only way to do it now is subject to. Because if you try to go get conventional financing, it's just going to be really difficult to make a cash flow.
Oh, for sure.
Because ultimately at the end of the day, wholesaling is a job. You can't really scale wholesaling. You got to eventually you got to get into buy and hold, and that's scalable.
Yeah, my intention is to use a wholesaling business to buy and hold.
Yeah, exactly. So eventually, you once you get your wholesaling business, so you don't have to run it, you can work on it, not in it. Then you start working on building wealth, long-term wealth, and that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing by going after coin-operated laundries. I was talking to a commercial broker about a deal that the owner wanted me to talk to their broker, and I told him, he's like, what kind of cap rate are you looking for? And we went all through all that stuff. And he's like, well, I don't know if this deal's, the one for you. And I'm like, I really don't care about this deal. I'm looking to buy income streams. If it cash flows, I will buy it. If it doesn't cash flow, I will not buy it. This ain't rocket science.
Right? It's interesting because it reminds me of the game that Robert Kiyosaki created, the cash flow board game. And that, like, I played that board game probably over 50 times at the beginning of my journey. And what I realized is no matter what, if it cash flows, buy it.
I own both cash flow 1 and 2.
Awesome. I've only played the game online. I haven't played it in person yet. I think that would be a whole different experience playing it in person.
Well, if I ever make it to one of these masterminds, I'll bring it with me, and we'll get a bunch of people playing it.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, as a matter of fact, when that game first came out, I used to have a group of my friends come over like every
Mhm.
Thursday night. We'd play that. We played it like every Thursday night for like 6 months.
It's a very educating game.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll show you the futility of being employed.
I agree. And another thing that I learned from it was sometimes it's not worth it to pay down debt. Like for a while when I was first playing that game, like I would just be like, pay down all debt, pay down all debt. But some of the debt I had was super cheap. Like there was like some mortgage debt that I had that was cheap. There was a car loan debt that I had that was cheap. And it's like, why would I pay that down when I could put that money into assets that make me more money than the payment on the debt?
Yep, exactly. People don't realize that that game was put together to teach the concepts in all of his books.
Hmm.
People learn by doing. And it's very easy to do it in a board game. Very hard to do it when you actually got to go buy a business.
Yeah,
Because
it's a lot bigger.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting. In calling around, I actually talked to a local couple here in Lakeland that have owned a coin-operated laundry business for 50 years, and they bought it.
Wow.
They bought it from. She and her husband bought it from her husband's parents. So that means they probably bought it like 1980, and his parents had owned it for 20 years before that.
Holy moly.
Yeah, and she actually invited me in. She's like, we don't want to sell right now, but because you're local, come on in. We'd love to get to know you. And I'm like, all right, great. And that's one of those deals. If they've owned it for 50 years, they're probably getting close to 80, 75, 80 years old.
Mm-hmm.
If they bought it young, like 25, 30.
Yeah.
So they're going to be, unless they got family that wants to buy it like they did, they probably want to buy it from somebody they know, or they want to sell it to somebody they know. So I'm going to develop that relationship.
Yeah, they need an offer.
But I was thinking to myself when I got
Oh, for sure, because sooner or later.
I was thinking when I got a phone, develop that relationship because they're local here in Lakeland, and think of all the information they could give me on how to run those businesses successfully for 50 years. That somebody's probably going to spend charge you 8, 9, 10 grand for a course, and you can get it just by buying this couple of cup of coffee and some donuts every Friday.
Right.
Wow. And again, it comes back to what you and I are talking about, man. It's about one-to-one human relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Use the technology to be efficient, but then be human.
I agree. Even like in the Astro community, I have a lot of newbies message me, and I'm still fairly new to the game as well. But like, no matter what, I always try my hardest to reply to every single one of them because I look at it as like I'm investing in people, right? If somebody is new at the beginning of their journey, like today, somebody had messaged me and they thought that they wouldn't be able to do it, and I'm like, why? Why are you creating limiting beliefs? And this limiting belief was that she got yelled at by a realtor on the phone, and ever since then, she decided that she's no longer competent on the phones. And I'm like, look, like, some people have bad days. Like I yell at people on the phone sometimes too. Sometimes I have a bad day. I'm feeling hurt and I take it out on others. And don't base your entire career off of one hurt person that got mad at you. And we really crushed that limiting belief. So now she's getting back on the phones, and it's like that might not pay off now. That might not pay off later, but it also might pay off later. And down the road when she's very successful, she's gonna remember. I remember when I was like having this limiting belief, and Nathan hopped on the phone with me when I didn't really have much to provide in return, and he helped me crush that limiting belief. So it's like really investing in people.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I answer. I had a guy, never done a deal before. Want to know? I saw it was in the Astro group, and he was posting. I got this deal, and it's subject to. Can somebody help me put it together? And nobody responded. I think he posted it yesterday. So today he's like, oh, I guess there's nobody can help me with this. Well, I just saw it. So I messaged him like, yeah, call me, man. I can help you. So he calls me and he was trying to give me all this information. I just sent it. I said, here, fill out my lead sheet. I emailed him my lead sheet, same form like you got. And he sent it back to me. And he was trying to take over a hard money loan.
Oh,
so this was a 13%
yikes.
mortgage. And I told him, I said, this is not a subject to deal. And then I explained to him, a subject to deal is when you're taking over somebody else's mortgage. What you want to do is take over somebody's mortgage at 3, 4, 4.5%, because a new mortgage is going to cost you 7. You're trying to take over one at 13. I said, you could go out and get conventional mortgage and get almost half the payment at 7, from 13. So, it was the same thing. A newbie didn't know what they were doing, and it took me 5 minutes to figure that out.
But now you're saving him time, because before he was, not making the best use of his time. Now that he knows that, he's going to make a better use of his time.
Exactly. And it took me all of 5 minutes to help him.
Think about how many hours he's saved, and he's going to save going forward.
And the same thing with your girl. You helped her get a little alligator skin. Because being on the phone is tough. You're right. You're going to run into people who are having a bad day. Or you never know who they spoke with just before they spoke to you. It happens to all of us. Especially when you're doing 3,000 dials a week.
Yeah.
The odds of you not hitting somebody with a bad day is 0.
Right. I actually started to like when people hang up on me, because it's much more efficient. I did the math, and I'd have to do it again. But let's say, for example, each no takes 15 seconds. So there's either 2 options. If it's a no, they can either hang up, or they can spend 15 seconds telling me why they won't be a good fit. Those 15 seconds times however many conversations I have in total in a week.
Let's say 300. Let's say 300
yeah, so 15 seconds. What would that be? So 15 seconds times 300.
My calculator crapped out yesterday. I haven't had a chance to get a new one, so I'd have to do it in my head.
Okay, so that's 45,000 seconds. So let's see, 45,000
divided by
4,500 seconds
divided by 60
divided by 60. That's 75 minutes. So
divided
that's an hour and 15 minutes a week.
Yeah, of getting told no.
1 hour, or here, let's go 75 minutes a week times 50 weeks. That's 3,750. So what's 3,750 divided by 60? That's 62 hours in a year that I can save by realtors hanging up on me, rather than giving me a 15-second answer about why they don't want to work with me.
That puts hangups in a completely different paradigm. So for every time somebody hangs up on you, you want to hang up and go, thank you very much. You just saved me 62 hours.
Right.
That is
exactly,
so cool.
Exactly.
I've never thought about
2 hours in a year.
I know.
Right? That's up.
62 hours. That's a full, if you work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, that's a week and a half. That's great.
Right?
Yeah. That is cool. That is really cool. Hey, let me ask you a question. When you're talking to realtors, what's the average length of your phone calls? There's
2. I'm going to give you the longer answer, because we can do either both the will send deals call result or the won't send deals call result, or we can do them together. So will send deals, which is when they say that they'll send me pocket listings, that can take about 3 minutes. The won't send deals, that takes like 45 seconds. Like, it is super quick for me to get to a no.
The thing that I think is amazing is I asked you that question and you knew the answer off the top of your head.
I did have to do a little bit of thinking there because it's been changing. It's been getting a bit more efficient. So like before it was and hence my whole like saving 15 seconds adding up. Before it was like my won't send deals was taking about a minute, and you know it added up to a lot. But now I've just been like super abrupt. Like if I hear in their voice that you know either they don't know what they're talking about, or they have some kind of, you can just get that vibe that they don't really want to work with you. I'll just say like, you know, like, you sure this is going to work out for you? It doesn't really sound like your bread and butter.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. You know, I was watching a TikTok about somebody was interviewing Elon Musk, and they had heard that he actually has 6-minute meetings. And Elon Musk, like, yeah, my meetings are with all my department heads are 6 minutes. If we can't cover it in 6 minutes, they weren't prepared. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I mean, we're talking about full-blown meetings, 6 minutes. Phone calls that go more than 6 minutes, you're wasting time.
Right.
I was
I totally agree. Like you can get everything across
in 6 minutes. And you're actually saying you're making 300, you're making 3,000 dials, you're getting 300 conversations, and you're spending 3 minutes to get them to send you deals.
Yeah.
And 45 seconds, like, 45 seconds for the ones that won't.
It's just
yeah. 45 seconds.
Anything other than that, and it's just
yeah.
I can tell you my entire buy box. I can tell you, like, if we did a role play right now, it would be pretty much here. You want to do a role play?
I do.
All right. So you'll be the realtor. I'll be the investor. Ring, ring.
Hey, this is Jeff.
Hey, Jeff. My name is Nathan. I just wanted to reach out and build a relationship with you. I'm a flipper here in Tampa.
Oh, you're in Tampa? I'm in Lakeland. I'm about 30 minutes away from Tampa, but we do a lot of business in Tampa.
Really? Awesome. Well, see, I'm giving you a call because I'm looking for some off-market fixer-uppers in that area. Are you able to help me with that?
I just sold one last week. I've got a pretty big buyers list.
Ah, shucks. I should have called you last week.
Yeah. So what can I do to help you?
If you can just send me your deals going forward, that'd be great. I mean, I'm very fast to act on them. I would love to see what you got. So you're completely out of inventory right now?
Yeah, I don't have anything. We've got some stuff coming up at the beginning of next week. We're going to get some listings. Are you a cash buyer or hard money?
Yeah, cash buyer. I mean, everybody's going to use hard money, right? And whenever possible, we'll use hard money. But we have the ability to close with cash.
All right. Can you text me your email or something?
Yeah, for sure. After this call, I'm going to send you a text on my cell phone because I only want quality agents on my cell phone. And you sound like a quality agent. So I'll send you a text with my buy box, my proof of funds, and my contact card. When you get my contact, are you going to save it?
Yeah, I'm on my cell phone right now.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jeff. I appreciate your time. I'm going to send that to you now.
Cool. Have a good one.
You as well. Bye. What are we at? Like 2 minutes and 30 seconds?
I wasn't timing it, but probably right around 2 minutes. And I would have to say, of the phone calls that I make, that's about how they go. Mm-hmm. When you try to
dude, I stutter a lot.
Now, is that something you do naturally, or is that something you learned?
Now, I could do it. I could do it more. I don't think it's necessary that I stutter. I think it kind of shows authenticity to, you know, really just have a little bit of nervousness as you go into. Maybe that's just me in my head. I'm sure I could reduce the stuttering by talking slower and really formulating my words. But I'm just like in and out there. Like if it means that I'm going to stutter a little bit, I'll stutter a little bit just to be in and out of that conversation.
Yeah, I think in this game that it's a speed thing because
Mhm.
I talked to a lot of new people and they think that they got to develop rapport with a realtor. And I try to tell them
Oh no.
realtors are transactional. When they get off the phone with you, they're getting on their calling list to get listings. So they don't want to
Yeah.
spend a lot of time
I
developing.
think they right. They want to know, are you competent and are you of value to me? Like, and as long as I answer that I'm competent and that I'm of value to them, then I'm good.
Right.
They don't care if like I like the same breed of dogs as they like.
Let me ask you a question because the first thing you said was, I'm a flipper. Do you get any pushback on that?
Mhm. Yeah, sometimes they'll like dig into me and they'll be like, "Oh, like where are you working? What projects are you doing?" And my trick is leverage your partners. Like you have buyers, you have partners in this. Your partners are doing the flips. You're representing your partners when you're calling. So if they want to ask me about, some properties that I flipped, well, oh, me and my partner, we're working on this one. We're like he's done this many. I'm the acquisitions guy. I'm here to bring us more opportunities.
Do the authority close? My partner's the
What's that?
authority. It's called the authority close. So in other words, you're shifting the authority to somebody else.
Exactly.
And like you said, I
Exactly.
mean,
And then
I'm just
same thing
the
with like the negotiation.
yeah, same thing exactly.
Yeah.
But
Right in the negotiation, like they'll be like, "Oh, like why can't you do this?" And I'll be like, "Look, like, man, I brought it to the underwriter, and I talked to the underwriter, and I said to them, I'm like, look, like we gotta offer them this much." And he just told me that like I can't offer that. Like he said that my maximum allowable offer is this, and it's like now I'm supposed to tell you that I need to buy it at 170, but I want to be fully transparent here and tell you that like he said my maximum allowable offer is 180. So I'm just capped at that number. I can't go any higher, even though my MAO will be like 190.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
little bit of showmanship in sales.
It's like me and them against the underwriter or me and them against the partner.
Yeah, it's what Russell Brunson likes to call throwing rocks. Yeah, you got to have somebody to throw rocks at.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but like we just demonstrated, this whole conversation can be done in 2 minutes or less.
Hmm.
And the no's save you time and eventually money.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's just a huge insight.
Well, not only that, but if I hear incompetence in the realtor's voice or any kind of lack of confidence, I'm done. I don't want to. I don't want to keep talking to them. Like I'm polite, but it's like okay, well, it sounds like this won't work out. And then before they even start talking, I'll say, well, thank you for your time. Take care, and I'll hang up
Right.
because I don't want to waste my time talking to a realtor that thinks they can do it that's never done it.
Now, let me ask you a question. And this relates to realtors that don't have a lot of experience. Do you ever get realtors that are sending you other wholesalers deals?
Yes.
Do you find that the other wholesalers eating up all the equity and it's not a deal?
The only deals that I've gotten from other wholesalers through realtors have been garbage.
Yes.
And I'll comp them and I'll tell them why it's garbage. And then I'll comp them and I'll be like, this is garbage because, so then I'm training the realtor and then I'll call them afterwards and I'll be like, hey, look, like, I'm really looking for things that you're direct to seller on. And the reason for that is more often than not, these deals that wholesalers are sending you, they're garbage. They're not good deals. But also, they're asking for non-refundable EMD. And I don't want to be putting that much risk up front when I don't even know if it's a good deal. I don't have a good relationship with that person. I like to set my inspection period. I like to set my close of escrow. And I also love it when you make more money. So if you can go get a listing agreement with a seller and then bring it to me before you put it on the market, I'm going to let you represent me. You're going to represent the buyer. And potentially, if my partner likes you, you'll get the listing afterwards as well. So it's just a lot better for us to do properties that you're direct to seller on.
Now, was that a script that you wrote out and then you've just gotten good at it? Or did you just make that up yourself?
I was just recalling a conversation that I had.
With new people, I actually have, a script that I'm like, if you're talking to a realtor, use this script. You're talking to a seller. By the way, when it comes to rapport, going direct to seller is very different than realtors. I'll spend 2 minutes with a realtor. I will spend 2 hours with a seller. I'll talk about their carpet. I'll talk about their grandkids. Because to a seller, direct to seller, you got to have that rapport. Realtor, 2 minutes. But
oh yeah, for sure.
But even with a script, I tell people plan on using it 100 times. By the time you get to the 10th phone call, you're not going to need that script anymore because you'll make it your own in your head.
Yeah, like I have bullet points. I don't have it on paper, but I have mental bullet points. So it's like these are the things that we need to talk about, and it's super relaxed. Like I can either go down them in order, or I can kind of jump around depending on how they respond to me. But there's some main talking points that I want to get past.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you've got a script that you've done 1,000 times.
Oh yeah, and I actually had an issue with repeating the same phrases over and over again, and I've started changing it more often because I'll do like 1,000 conversations where I'm saying the same thing over and over and over again, and then it becomes robotic. It's like, hi, my name is Nathan. I'm an investor down in this area. I just wanted to see if you had any off-market investment properties. And then they're like, are you a robot? And as soon as they start saying, are you a robot? Or, just giving me that weird response, I'm like, okay, I know that I became too comfortable in that. And now I have to change it up to where I'm actually thinking and feeling like I'm having a conversation. But as well, one thing that I learned from Jamil Damji at the mastermind is to do it with intention. Like for a while there, I was like, sitting back, eating food, lying back in my chair, and watching a YouTube video on the screen to my right as I talk to them. I'd hear the beep and I'd be like, whoa, hey Jeff, how you doing? And they can tell. But when I sit in front of my dialer and I look at it and then I see their name come up and I'm like, hey Joanna, how are you? It's Nathan. I'm a flipper here in Palm Beach. I just wanted to reach out and build a relationship with you. It's way more genuine and they can feel that, and I get a better response.
See, now it's a third time we've done that. Hey, name, I'm a flipper. So you're comfortable in letting them know you're a flipper. As opposed to something like
flipping paper, flipping houses.
All right.
Now, that's an interesting one because like investor, flipper, wholesaler, like these words, I think they all have a little bit of stink to them. Like investor, everybody's an investor. A wholesaler, there's way too many of those and a lot of them suck. But when I say flipper, like it's like I am fixing and flipping properties. Like that's what I'm doing, whether I'm doing the project myself or I'm just finding the opportunity and sending it to somebody that does the project. We are residential redevelopers. But it's also nice because then if they're like, you're a what? Then I'll be like, I'm a flipper, like a dolphin.
Well, that works down in Miami area.
Exactly. And that's the response that I'll get. They'll laugh at me. I'll be like, no, I'm an investor. I'm not a dolphin.
But I think wholesaler, investor, all those things, you're right, they have some negative connotations. But a flipper is somebody who takes an ugly property, makes it better, and makes the community better.
Exactly. And then they'll be like, oh, like one of the objections I get a lot is, oh, so like you want to steal a property, or how much below market value do you want it? And they'll say it in this like negative way, like it's the wrong thing. And I'll say to them, I'll be like, look, like I'm here to give 100% of as is value. Like if it's a crappy property, I'm gonna give it at the price that it's worth. I can't pay ARV. I can't pay the after repair value for a property that's not renovated. I'm gonna have to pay for the renovations. I'm gonna have to pay taxes on it. I gotta make money too. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in business. So I need to make 15% net. That's what I need to make. And I'm going to offer as much as possible where I'm still making that profit. And then they just have no objection to that. That they're very happy with that.
Yeah, the response to you're just trying to steal property is the whole going through the I'm paying full market value for this property. Right now, it's not worth what a brand spanking new house is worth. And then you start slowing that down a little bit and going through everything you just said. But that's when I really start to bring my cadence way down. Make those points, drop those points, and then pause. I learned that in Toastmasters. When you might want to make a point, stop talking.
Yes. Yes. You did Toastmasters too. I love it. Like shutting up is the best thing you can do.
In my scripts that I give away, when you say something and you ask for the sale, shut up. The next person that speaks loses the interaction.
Sometimes they'll be like, "You still there?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was just waiting for you to talk."
Yeah, but you made them talk. Yeah, it's amazing how many people can't stand silence.
It's uncomfortable.
But subconsciously, you've now made the point. Yeah, yeah, but I
think another good one is, how can another one that I've really been working on lately is, how can I do that? Like they'll bring me a property and they'll be like, these are the numbers, and I'll go back to them and be like, how can I do that? Like, how can I make it work? And then they'll try and break it down for me, and they'll find the flaws in their opportunity when they try and break it down for me.
I love that. What you're doing is you're eliciting them to figure out how they can sell it to you. I love that.
And I'll give you an example. Like it was either today or it was yesterday. My days all kind of get scrambled into one. But this agent had given me this property. It was the first outreach. He was on the phone. He's like, "Oh, I have this off-market property at this address." And he gives me the address, and he's like, "It's $1 million. It has whatever after repair value that was just barely above the price, and it was fully renovated." And I'm like, "Well, how can I do that?" He's like, "That's not my effing problem." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." Like, so I already know that this is not like motivated. This is not a realtor that actually wants to do business.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. You're going to run into those. But yeah, I think the majority of them that want to do business will answer your questions, especially the one where it's like, so how can I do that? How can I do that deal? Let them figure it out, because they know, they have all the information, especially when you come up with an ARV that doesn't agree with theirs. Like when I ask somebody, a realtor, to send me a deal, can you also send me 3 comparables? And they'll say, why? Well, I'm going to look at your comparables, and then I'm going to do my comparables. And if they match, I know we got a good deal. And when you say it that way, they're like, "Oh, sure, no problem." But the 60% of the time I'll get, "Well, why do you need mine? Don't you know what you're doing?"
Well, how do you know you're not selling me garbage?
That would be my response. That wouldn't be your response. I know that's what you're thinking. That's what I'm thinking. But I just put it in a way of, listen, I'm going to take yours. I'm going to look at mine. If they match, we got a deal.
I like it. I do, when I present my offers, like if there's ever any hesitation, or maybe it's a new realtor that doesn't really know how to properly value properties, I will break it down. I'll be like, here's my comps, here's my math, here's my offer. And if you have to send it to the seller, go ahead and send it to the seller.
Really? So you'll actually do the math for them?
Yeah, because I'm doing the math either way. So I'm like, you know what? I might as well send it to them. And I think I'm trying. I mean, I don't really know yet, because we have to do it for longer to know if it's actually providing the result that I want. But I'm trying to train these realtors to like know how to break it down with my formula.
It's interesting. We were talking about doing subject to deals. Pace Morby has talked about most realtors have no clue how to do those. Most think they're illegal, which they're not. And the real estate associations actually do trainings on it, but nobody ever takes that course. But what he has done before is actually gone in and say, listen, I'm going to put on a 30 or 45-minute on subject to for any of the realtors that want to come in and learn about it. And then he's got a presentation. But what you're doing is you're just doing it for wholesalers. How many wholesalers have actually taken a Junkers to Jewels weekend? where they're going through and looking at crappy houses. Then they're like, all right, here's how we determine after repaired value. Here's how we determine, the discount that the rehab, the flipper is going to need. And then this is how much they're going to have to invest to get it up to a sellable property. They probably don't even know how to do that. So there's some
No,
value.
they don't.
There's a lot of value in
noticed
training them how to do it.
Right? The one thing I notice with realtors more often than not is them underestimating the reno budget. Like ARV, they're okay on the ARV. They always exaggerate it, but underestimating the rental budget, it'll be like a full gut to be like $20K on that 1,500 square foot house. Not much.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate to break it to you, the kitchen's going to be 30.
Right? What I say to them is, maybe this is me being a little bit impatient and frustrated when they say that, but I'll be like, have you ever flipped any properties? Oh, really? Oh, you haven't? Oh, well, I mean, for me and in my company, it's going to cost me a lot more than that.
Or have you ever replaced a kitchen? Have you ever replaced a bathroom? Taken it down to the studs and put a whole brand new one in there? Trust me, that's an eye-opening experience.
Yeah. See, when I had my renovations company, what I would do is I would finish basements start to finish. So it'd just be concrete, and then the insulation here in Canada, we have insulation, guys. So we
have basements. We're in Florida.
Yeah, we got basements here in Canada. So like I'm pretty damn experienced with this, and I know how long it takes. Yeah, prices are different in Florida, but if you have an idea of how long it takes, it's easy to bid out a job. But we got framing, drywall, mudding, taping, flooring, trim, doors, paint, kitchen cabinetry, bathroom vanity, the shower, like everything.
What about electrical and plumbing? Electrical and plumbing.
We do have electrical and plumbing. I didn't mention that because I wouldn't do the electrical and plumbing. Like I'll hook up sinks and whatnot, but I won't run the actual electrical in the walls. I can do it, but it's not my specialty.
But those are subs those are subs you gotta hire to get to do that.
You do, yeah, you do. And that, subs cost a lot of money.
Can I just a little learning lesson here for the people that are gonna watch this later? I looked at a deal about 6 months ago. Woman bought a burnout, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, complete rehab. It was like a 1,100 square foot house. Perfect. I mean, this place was awesome. Kitchen was like something out of Vogue. The bathroom was like something out of Vogue. And I'm walking through, and I happen to look at the electrical box, and it was missing some of the plugs. And I happen to say to the realtor, they're going to have to get that plugged up because it won't pass inspection like that. And she's like, well, and I'm like, what do you mean, well? Well, she didn't actually use licensed contractors to do the rehab. I said, what? Hang on, it gets better. She also didn't pull any permits.
Oh, no.
On a burnout.
Oh, no. Tear it down. Tear it down. That thing's going to burn down again.
Then when we walked out, I was walking out. It's got a brand new AC system, and I noticed that Lakeland Electric, which is our local power company, had cut the line not at the power head, at the pole. The local electric company came out and said, no licensed contractors, no permits. We will not electrify this house.
Rightfully so.
I said, you can't sell this. There's no one that's going to give you a title on this. If you try to rent it and somebody gets hurt in this house, you're going to prison. The owner's going to prison, not the realtor. So I said, listen, I can fix a house like this. I know how to fix it. But the first phone call was to the head of the inspection department for the city. And he was aware of the house. That's a bad sign. And he actually said, because it's a burnout, everything that was put into the house has to be taken out. We got to take everything down to the studs so we can see the rafters and the studs to make sure that they're structurally sound. So I went back to that. I went back to the realtor and said, listen, I'll give you, the woman had bought, she had bought it for 60 grand. She'd done the rehab. She had listed it for 225. Then she reduced it by 225. That's why I called her, because I knew something was wrong. I said, listen, I'll give you the 60 grand, what you invested in it, but you're going to have to eat what you put into it, and I can take this problem off your hands. And the reason why is because the head of the inspecting department said, we need to get a structural engineer in here to take a look at it. There are only 6 companies in Polk County where we are that do this work, and 3 won't take this job. That's how familiar the city was with this property. The woman got pissed off at me and said she, didn't want to talk to me anymore, but that's what happens when you don't use licensed contractors.
Oh yeah, and I've seen some jobs where like they didn't use licensed contractors before. It will do some shady stuff. Like I'm not sure how many viewers are familiar with electrical and running wires, but sometimes you'll see wires just in the wall, and they'll have one wire and then they'll split it to join another wire, and they'll just have caps on those. So what happens is if somebody is then like maybe changing a light fixture and they pull on it, well then that wire splits in the wall, and now you have electricity just running into the walls, and that's how fires start.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and the thing is people that think that renovations are 20 grand for a full gut don't understand that. You try to do it on a cheap, you're going to end up with a major problem. And I had a deal that fell through in Chicago 2 weeks ago. This property in downtown south side of Chicago, downtown, should have been worth 350, 400,000, and it was listed at 30 grand. So I came across my privy leads. I called up, and what it was is it was a single family house that had burned. Somebody had bought the burnout, gutted it down to the foundation, and then put the single story and then another story on top of it, and didn't pull permits.
What? Oh
so
my God.
They've got a 2-story house on a 1-story foundation.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
And the thing about it was I tried. What?
Oh, I was just gonna say, some of these realtors get really creative. They'll bring me a property and they'll be like, "Oh, it's no problem. Just throw a second story on it." And I'm like, I don't think you understand.
There's a foundation underneath it that has to hold that extra house.
Right? Like that's a lot easier said than done. Like it's not just a foundation, but it's also like, can we get permits to do that? Like, will they allow it in that neighborhood?
And I was thinking, when I was talking to this realtor, I'm like, this is downtown Chicago. Do they seriously think the city's not going to notice? I ended up not getting that deal. They flipped it to another investor that was local. I got a little bit of an education on Chicago politics, real estate politics. Yeah. So, but anyway, that's the kind of stuff that you run across in this business. And like you said, realtors don't understand what some realtors, unless they've got experience, don't understand what it actually costs to rehab a house.
Yeah. No, they have no clue.
Yeah. And you're right. I think there's a lot of value when you going through and actually sending them your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that I do, but that probably is something I'm going to start to do. If I get pushback on my number, like, oh, you're too low, you're trying to steal the house. Well, let me show you how I got there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like my end goal from these realtors is to have them run numbers the way I run numbers, so that they can send me pre-vetted deals like, hey, Nathan, I know this is going to work for you. This is your acquisitions cost. This is your rental budget. This is your after repair value. This is how much you're probably going to net. Like that's my goal. I want them to send me deals like that where like they have it fully broken down, but I know it's going to take time of nurturing them and training them to work that way.
You've met, sat and talked with Jamil one-on-one, right?
Yeah.
That realtor that he always talks about that she's made like $5 million in commissions working with him. Is that what he did? Did he educate her and bring her along to make her the lethal weapon that she is now?
I don't know. I never spoke to him about that, so I wouldn't be able to answer it correctly.
Because he's got one realtor in Phoenix that like feeds him like all kinds of deals, and they've been doing business together for 5 or 6 years. But I mean, you don't get to that level without doing a lot of, training.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're
I look
doing.
at it as, yeah, I look at it as like these realtors are like my acquisitions agents in a sense. Yeah, they're not loyal. I want them to be loyal if possible. I can't force them to, but I want to train them on how to work with me best. And I want them to be successful because when they're successful, I'm successful.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's a mutually beneficial relationship. You get deals, you're flipping them to rehabbers, and that realtor gets paid quick. I actually have
Absolutely.
realtors, that I work with closely now that have tell me that it takes like 3 days to list a property.
Yeah.
Between
Oh
getting
yeah.
the
And then
paperwork,
they
getting the
get
pictures,
inundated,
uploading it to the MLS, all that stuff takes like 3 days.
right? And then day one, they're just bombarded with all of these robo texts.
And lowball offers that they're never going to accept.
Dude, this one person was telling me about his system, and it's so cool. It's like pretty much all artificial intelligence and workflows. So it's property hits the MLS with a certain keyword indicating that it's an investment property.
Original
Then it
condition
takes
needs
the
work.
list price. What's that?
Original condition needs work.
Yeah, so any kind of keyword like that. And it'll cut the listing price down, I think like to 70% of the list price. And then it'll auto generate a letter of intent. And since this guy has MLS access, it'll auto pull their information and it'll email them the offer. So everything happens automatically. And he just does a whole bunch of these offers. Now, I don't know exactly how successful he is, but it just goes to show that like when a realtor posts that thing online, like they're getting inundated with robots, like people that aren't even actually people. So if you can do them a service of, getting them a double commission and having to save them from being bombarded by robo people and unethical wholesalers, I think you're doing a pretty good service.
You know, exactly what you just said there. When you get to know these people and they tell you that they get bombarded by 50 to 100 texts as soon as they put up a listing, and then they got to deal with all these, these phone calls and stuff. And they tell you there's a 3-day grace period from the time they sign the listing agreement to the time they put it in the MLS. And you're like, hey, listen, if you don't want to deal with all that bull crap, send it to me first.
Yeah, exactly. Another common objection that I get is, well, how do I protect my commission? And that one's a bit of an interesting one that I'm like trying to put a lot of thought into. First of all, do I want to work with a realtor with a scarcity mindset? I don't know yet. I haven't decided. But second thing is their commission is important to them, and I say to them, I'm like, go get that listing agreement. But then they'll be like, oh, but what if they can't give me that listing agreement? Or will you sign an exclusive agreement with me? And I'm like, no, I can't sign that exclusive agreement with you because I'd immediately be breaking it. I'm working with multiple realtors. And then I'll suggest to them, I'll say, hey, well, you could send me an exclusive agreement subject to just the property. But then their question is like, if I send you the address of the property on an exclusive agreement, then I've technically like made it useless. So I'm curious, do you have any suggestions on how I can overcome that objection of them being concerned about me circumventing them?
Yep. I'm not the kind of person that jumps over dollars to get to pennies. And they're going to go, what did you just say? If I was to screw you out of a deal, how many deals would you send me in the future? And they're going to go 0. So why would I screw you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in this for the long haul. And I say, I've been doing this for 20 years. You can say whatever, but I've been doing this for 20 years. Do you think I'd be in the business this long if I screwed people over? Nope. I want us to have a relationship where you can send me deals and you're going to get paid. And then shut up.
I like it.
Yeah. This is an integrity thing. I'm looking for a long-term relationship with you. Let's do a lot of business together. And if I screw you over, you're never going to send me a deal ever again. Hell, you probably won't even take my phone calls.
I like that a lot. Jumping over dollars to get the pennies. That's a really good phrase.
It gets them thinking.
That's what you're doing. Yeah, that's what you're doing. It's going to cost me more to circumvent you. Like, there's no point.
And I'll give you an example. Week and a half ago, guy contacts me through the internet, through Facebook, and he's got a lot up in North Tampa, and he wants me to help him dispo it. I turned him on to Helena. As far as I know, she dispoed it for him. He fell off the face of the planet. Do you think I will ever help him out again?
There's no motivation to.
Nope. And I did it without a contract because I do that, you know. And it's like, you know, people will be like, "Oh, you're stupid." I'm like, "No, man. I'm in this for the long haul. If this guy is obviously working the Tampa market, and you know, he can call me up, and I know who he is, and he's on the naughty list now. Like, hey, listen, man, I helped you dispo that property. You gave me no love. Why would I do that again?"
Yeah, I agree.
So
that's an interesting one. Promises on paper.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people, you know, especially as newbie wholesalers, where they're making these big, bold promises. And then I'm like, can you put that on paper? Then you don't hear from them for some reason.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, you know, everybody's got to have some integrity. And if you don't have integrity, you're going to get found out in a hurry. Like we were talking about a while ago, it takes forever to develop a good relationship. It takes about 8 seconds to destroy it.
I agree.
But yeah, a lot of times it just comes down to explaining to them, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm in this for a long-term relationship. At the end of the day, sure, I can sign paperwork, but paperwork's just paperwork.
And in that scenario, paperwork is not providing, like, if they're really genuinely concerned about their commission, like sending an exclusive agreement subject to just the property, like as soon as you send that agreement, it's like, we know what the property is. So
yeah. And again, it's more like you said, it's about educating the people that want to work with you. And if that person had a limited mindset, you probably don't want that person to begin with.
I agree. I had this one realtor, and I actually did a deal with him recently. So he was concerned about his commission. He was more polite about it, but he still was a little bit concerned about his commission. And I said to him, I said, like, I can't give you a buy price if you can't give me the address. But you can go put it under contract and then bring it to me afterwards, and hopefully you got it at the right price. And dude, this realtor, what did he put it under contract for? It was incredibly cheap.
Oh, he got a listing agreement, or he actually got a purchase contract?
He went and he got a purchase contract. So he put $500 EMD down. He signed the contract at $215,000, and he brought it to me. And what did I get it from him for? Man, why am I blanking on it? I believe it was 225 that I got it from him for. I'm making a 19K spread on it either way. Whatever number he locked it up at, like I marked it up $19,000, and that was closing next month. And I said to him, I'm like, I can't give you a buy price unless if like you give me the address. So just go lock it up. Hopefully you got it at the right price. And he locked it up at the right price. I got an exclusive. He called me. He's like, hey, I got this one for you. Are you gonna buy it from me? I looked at it. I'm like, I don't think I can fit this in my schedule, but I got plenty of friends down there that are buying. So give me an exclusive option, and I'm going to go get this sold for you. He gave me a 7-day exclusive option. I sold it on, I think it was like the second of it. He brought it to me on Saturday, and I sold it on Monday. Hard EMD at title that day.
So you didn't even have a contract. You gave him an option.
Yeah, he had he held the purchase and sale agreement, and I signed an exclusive option to buy it from him for one. So there was a $1 EMD on my option, and then purchase price. You know what it was? He sold it to me for 241. He assigned it to me at 241,000, and I assigned it to my buyer at 260,000. That was the numbers, and he had put it under contract for 215,000, if I'm remembering correctly.
But he didn't even go get a listing. He actually went out and put it under contract himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And then you didn't even give him a contract to buy. You just went out and got the option, a 7-day option.
Yeah, he brought it to me. He's like, "Are you buying this?" And I ran the numbers, and I called him back 10 minutes later. I'm like, "Look, like it's a good deal. Like it's a good deal,
Yeah.
but I don't have the time right now to take it on. So let me go bring it to one of my buddies, and I'll get this sold for you. Like I can give you your asking price." And we signed the agreement on the phone there, and then sold it on. This was on a Saturday that he brought it to me, and I sold it on the Monday because it was a smoking deal.
I was just telling some folks uh, that way back in 2006 in Daytona, we had 3 hurricanes back to back to back. We had a hurricane like every 2 weeks. It was crazy. But what ended up happening is a lot of the older hotels on Daytona Beach got the absolute snot beat out of them. So they became unlivable. And so the owners, obviously they submitted, their paperwork to get paid insurance. And a very smart wholesaler went in and gave these people options to buy the property and gave them like a $10,000 option fee or $20,000 option fee. And then, this was kind of like it was last year. The 2006 was before the crash, and it was like super hot real estate. He went and got those hotels under contract and then took out big full-page ads in the Wall Street Journal and made like $1 million wholesale fees. He made in the course of like 2 years, he ended up dragging down like $10 million in wholesale fees by doing what you did on a smaller scale. Instead of getting a purchase and sale agreement, you just got a 7, 14, 30-day option.
Mm-hmm.
But you got an exclusive option, which is the brilliant part of that.
Yeah, and like he did very briefly mention to me, like, why is it exclusive? I said to him, I'm like, because I'm not going to go bring it to one of my friends, have them walk it, be lined up, ready to buy it, and then be like, oh, nope, it's gone.
Right.
That's just not fair to them. So I need it to be exclusive. I'm going to get this sold for you, but it has to be exclusive because I'm putting my reputation on the line for you.
Yeah. So my question for you is, where'd you get the paperwork?
Astro.
Nice. Yeah, I've got the paperwork myself, but I'm sure anybody that's going to watch this in the future, like, where do you get an option contract?
You know the funniest part? The funniest part is he brings me another deal later, and he's like, "Oh, I got this deal, and I used your option contracts." I'm like, bro, that's hilarious. So he went out and he found somebody that had a deal under contract. And he got an exclusive option for 3 days, and then he brings it to me afterwards, and he's like, "Yo, Nathan, I got this deal. Like, I'm marking it up. Like, you want to sell it?" And then I'm like, "Sure. Like, how long? Send me the paperwork." He's like, "I got it on the exclusive option agreement that you used with me." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna send you an exclusive option." So it went from him having a 3-day exclusive option to me now having the 3-day exclusive option. We tried to sell it, but we didn't have enough time to get it sold, and the person wouldn't give us more time. But it was just hilarious how that came back around.
Let me ask you a question. The title company that you used, did you get any pushback from the title company? Because now you're getting into daisy chaining.
With the second example where like we did 2 exclusive options, that one it ended up fizzling out before we even had title like making an issue of it. The first one where it was original purchase and sale agreement, the agent with the the agent had the original purchase and sale agreement, then I had my option agreement, and then I had the end buyer. So what I did is Alex the agent had assigned it to me at 241,000, and then I had assigned it to my buyer at 260,000. So we just converted my option agreement into an assignment agreement.
Got it. And the title company was cool with it?
Yeah, they haven't complained.
Okay.
This one's closing out in July.
Okay.
Now however, this title company, I wasn't really a big fan of them, and that was the issue with this. Is like I was with a kind of inexperienced title company. Like, even though the wire was sent that day, and I was sent the receipt that the wire was sent, title was like really unprofessional. Like I was calling them. I'm like, "Hey, I just want to confirm the wires there." Called them in the morning, called them in the afternoon, called them twice in the evening. They're like, "No, we don't see it. We don't see it." And then the next morning I called and I'm like, "Dude, like where the hell is my wire? Like I'm looking at a receipt right here from the buyer that clearly shows that it was sent to you. And then they emailed me a little bit later. They're like, oh yeah, we do see it here. And it was just that they were backlogged. But I think when you're dealing with transactions that, you know, are this high pressure where like the EMD has to be at title same day or before a certain hour, like you need rapid responses on when that wire hits.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, working with good title companies is so important in what we do, especially when you get into high pressure deals. I can tell you about one I did. I bought a crack house. You're not really in this business until you've bought a crack house. And I actually was closing through a law firm, and the law firm was like, "This house is worth 150,000. You're buying it for 45. You know, you're ripping these people off." I mean, they didn't know anything about the deal, but I've been through a tough closing like that, where the agents don't want you to do the deal because they think you're screwing these people. They didn't understand that we did in 30 days. And this is back 2007, 2006, that we put $30,000 in this house in a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. We replaced pretty much everything but the foundation and the walls in 30 days. And the cool thing about that deal, the cool thing about that deal is after 30 days, I was putting the for sale sign on the front lawn. The neighbors across the street, behind it, and on either side came out and shook my hand and thanked me for buying the house.
See, you're providing a lot of value when you're fixing up neighborhoods.
And took the worst house with the crime and made it into the nice house.
Right? And that's bringing up everybody else's value. You're making more money for other people that you don't even know. You don't even have a direct relationship with them, and you're putting money in their pocket because their house is going up in value.
You know, going back to what we were talking about before, when you get an inexperienced realtor, it's like, oh, you're just trying to get cheap, you know, houses, steal houses from people. I have that story in my repertoire, so I tell them that story. I'm the guy that goes out and buys the crack houses and makes them nice houses again. Now, not where they're cooking the crack, not where they're cooking the meth. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I don't know where they go after that.
Well, see, when you get into where they've got chemicals and stuff, then you get into hazmat, and you know that's bad. But yeah, drug dens and stuff like that. Yeah, then you're really doing a service to the neighborhood. But I kind of went off on a tangent there. But having a title company that understands our business is critical. And the reason
I mentioned earlier.
The reason I brought up that story, I just remembered. The reason I brought up that story about the crack house is it was in foreclosure, and the foreclosure auction was the next day. So we had to have it closed on that. Like the foreclosure auction was like on a Thursday, and we had to get it closed on Wednesday. And as it got closer and closer, I'm calling this law office 2-3 times a day, and that's why they were getting pissed off, because I was pushing them. Because they didn't understand. If they didn't close it, it would have gone to foreclosure auction. And once a judge drops a gavel, it's over.
Yeah. Dude, like this Kindlewood property that I'm working on with the big assignment fee that's caught up in a lawsuit. Like I messed up. You know, the realtor brought it to me, and she brought it at a good price. And she's like, we have to use my title company. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like it's a good price. Let's do it. And then, you know, there was a lot of issues. Like the seller was in jail. The realtor was double ending the deal. The realtor's husband is the power of attorney for the seller. So now I made my offer. She pretty much said the number. She's like 400,000. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like we can make it happen at 400,000. So then the power of attorney calls the seller who's in jail on a recorded line, walks him through the entire contract, and gets approval from the seller to sell it to us. So the power of attorney signs on behalf of the seller. Now we're using their escrow company. So like they're going through the whole thing with the escrow process. And then the seller had somebody meet up with him at the jail and offer $420,000. So $20,000 over what I offered. The seller signed another purchase and sale agreement And now another title company had started the process. And I'm pretty sure the seller and the other buyer knew what was going on, because they were trying to get this wrapped up as quick as possible. So my title, not my title company, the title company on my A to B was calling the lenders and asking for payoffs. And one of the lenders said, hey, this other title company just called me about this property. They were asking for a payoff too. You should look into it. So the title company calls me back and tells me like, yo, there's something weird going on here. And like they didn't want to underwrite it, and they were giving me feedback on it. So they got me on the phone, they got the power of attorney on the phone, and the agent on the phone. And what they were doing is like, they should not be giving their opinion. Like this person that owned this title company, she's like, I'm not going to underwrite this. Like, this is a lawsuit waiting to happen. And like title officers, they're supposed to be a neutral third party, but she's pretty much like, crap talking my deal and blowing up my deal on the line. That was a big mistake of mine, because I went with their title company, and their title company pulled out as soon as like something looked bad. Had I have went with my title company, my title company would have just plowed right through it. So big lesson learned, because now I can't get an amendment on that, and the seller doesn't want to. First of all, so the seller doesn't want to sign the closing docs, which makes it hard. But the second thing is the title company doesn't want to underwrite it. So I can't go to the seller and be like, hey, sign an amendment to move this to a new title company. I can't. And we have $10,000 par to EMD sitting at this title company still. We filed a list pendants. We filed an affidavit of memorandum. And oh my goodness. Well, this story gets even more crazy, because we filed all of these lawsuits, and we're going after the seller saying, hey, like, we have the right to purchase this property. We want to force the sale. So the seller gets out of jail we were supposed to close on April 21st. He gets out of jail on April 29th. All of a sudden, his back taxes are paid off. I don't know where he had the money, but he was too broke to feed his dog before. So back taxes are paid off. We're continuing to try and serve this guy, but we can't find him. We literally cannot find him. We sent a private investigator to go look for him, to give him the papers, and he was dropped off the face of the earth. So we ended up serving his crackhead girlfriend in the trailer out front, which is technically okay because they're common law. And then as we were waiting, like there's that countdown of, I think it's 20 days that they have to respond, otherwise they go into default. As we were doing that countdown, all of a sudden we're like, oh crap, there's a new owner for this property. And you want to know what the craziest part is? This new owner purchased it at $375,000. We offered $400,000. What the heck is going on? So now we have to redirect our lawsuit. Rather than suing Alexander, the owner, we have to sue the title company that sold it to another person, because we had filed that affidavit of memorandum with the city, and the title company should have seen that we had invested interest in the property. But now, here's where it gets even more complicated. Though we have the stamped piece of paper saying that we filed our affidavit of memorandum on time and all our documents are at the city was backlogged and they hadn't uploaded them online. So this other title company, when they were doing the title search, they went through the online portal to see if there was any documents with the county clerk of courts. And they didn't see my document there because the county clerk of courts was behind. So now we're trying to figure it out now. We have a lawyer on it, and it's like, whose fault is it at that point?
Yeah, this is where you need a really, really good real estate litigator. And there's damn few of them.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody claims to be a real estate lawyer, but there's few real estate litigators, but you're going to need a good one on that one.
Yeah.
But if it was easy, everybody could do this business.
Right, but on the bright side, like the buyer is paying the lawyer's costs. The buyer is keeping his 10,000 hard EMD in it. He's on our side. He wants to see it win. The lawyer has also hedged his bets on it winning. He took a $1,500 deposit just to serve him, and then the lawyer is going to get paid on the HUD when this thing closes.
Smart boy.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't take it if he didn't think he could win it.
Exactly. Well, it was less complicated then. Now it's more complicated. So,
well, that's law. But the thing about it is, you got a couple of things going for you. It was the a power of attorney that signed the purchase and sale agreement on behalf of the seller, correct?
Yeah.
That's yeah. That power of attorney is going to be helpful. You've got a signed contract that predates everything.
I do. Yeah. Yeah. I'm the first one.
I mean, in Florida, that's called the statute of frauds. If it's written down, it's a contract. And you know, it's signed by a power of attorney that's a legal representative. So, and you've also got the jail, the prison recording, right?
Yeah, I don't personally have that. That's in the jail, but that's something that we can pull.
That's what I'm saying is your attorney, if it does go in front of a judge, you're going to have the seller, a recording of the seller going, sure, no problem, good deal. They got you. I am
now
not a lawyer.
here's
I don't play on
a bit of
TV.
a conflict. I agree, and you know, here's one thing that has gone through my mind with that one though, is the relationship between the power of attorney and the real estate agent. So the real estate agent is getting an 8% commission. She's double siding it, and then the real estate agent's husband is the power of attorney. So it's like, I mean, that kind of looks bad on. No, it's not us that's doing anything wrong, but it definitely puts a little. It'll put a little bit of a bad taste in the judge's mouth.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they got to follow the law, and real estate law is pretty straightforward. Yeah, he might. He might. Yeah, I could see how that could become a FREC complaint. FREC, the Florida Real Estate Commission. I could see how that realtor might have a complaint, but the realtor will have to deal with that.
Yeah.
With you. So
yeah,
again,
they brought me a property. I said I'd buy it. I filled all ends of my contract.
This is not legal advice. I am not a lawyer, and I don't play one on TV. My advice to everybody who watches this: go get your own lawyer. But yeah, I mean that's what good lawyers are paid for. Is they're the ones.
You know, this makes me think of like, just go take a bunch of action, and like if you get caught up in these situations, then go get advice on them. There's so many people that will come to me with like theoretical questions, and it's like, dude, just go out there, take a bunch of action, and if you have an issue like this, somebody will help you out. Like you'll find the right person to help you. So I looked at it this way, as like I went out and I just caused chaos. You know, maybe this one will close, maybe it won't, but it's a great learning experience. And I didn't have all of the pieces put together when this one started, but they're just being assembled as I go.
And what was the rule that you broke?
I don't think I broke any rules.
You used the seller's title company.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I messed
up. That's the rule you broke.
I used the seller's title company. Yeah, I went out and I called the seller's title company. Yeah, that was a big mistake. That was a big no-no.
But going forward, will you ever do that again?
Oh, absolutely not. And it's a great story to tell. So when the realtor's like, we have to use my title company, I'll be like, you know what? Let me tell you a story.
Yep, exactly. Just like my crack house, when I talked to an inexperienced realtor, like, oh, you're just trying to steal houses. Let me tell you a story. When somebody gives you pushback going forward about, oh, I need to use the seller's title company, or I want to use my title company. Let me tell you a story.
Exactly.
So, hey, you know, we've been doing this for a little over 2.5 hours.
Wow. Time flew.
That's because this is a fun business, man. And I love getting into war stories.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we sit down and, you know, it's hell going through these things. And I tell people all the time that experience is by far the best teacher and the most expensive.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you just live and learn. And like you said, go out and make a mess. Go out there and do stuff, and stuff like this will come up and you'll learn, but you're out there and you're doing it. At the end of the day, you got what, 2 or 3 deals coming up next 2 weeks?
Yeah. Like just go cause chaos and like solve your problems as you go.
Because this chaos pays well if you're going to make 30 grand in the next 2 weeks.
It does.
So chaos pays well. That's another t-shirt.
Oh, for sure. And like this lawsuit that I've gotten caught up in myself, that I've gotten myself caught up in, what is it costing me? It's probably costing me about like 3 actual solid days of labor and like $500 in, you know, miscellaneous fees, like filing my affidavit and memorandum and whatnot. Definitely worth it. I would pay way more than that for an education.
Oh yeah. So let me ask you a question. What's your big takeaway that makes you successful?
What's my big takeaway that makes me successful? Let me just read you my goal instead. Okay, so this is my goal. My goal says by December 2024, I will be receiving 100,000 USD net every month. In return for this money, I will create and implement solutions to people's real estate problems. I will have 100 conversations a week with realtors and help every person I come in contact with. I believe that I will have this money in my possession. My faith is so strong that I can now see this money before my eyes and touch it with my hands. Now, the reason why I read you that instead is because this is a trait that I am actively embracing, right? To create solutions to problems and then to just help anybody I come in contact with. Now, I think this will work. I mean, it's going pretty good so far. That would be my answer.
Just one more thing. What do you have that written on?
$100 bill.
My man, that is cool.
I also have my goal written in handwriting on it. But I mean, if it's any consolation, like, okay, so I ordered a whole bunch of prop money. Get this. You're gonna laugh at this. I ordered $100,000 worth of prop money, and I'm not even kidding. I have written my goal on that $100,000. This is $30,000 worth right here in my hands. Like, this is prop money, but I write my goal on it every single day.
What?
In handwriting. Yeah.
Oh man, your subconscious is going to town.
This chunk, 30,000.
That's $100 bills. So you've written your intention 300 times.
More than that, but just on $100 bills 300 times.
Oh man, you're a big believer in NLP. I'll guarantee.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nate, this has been a kick-ass interview, man. I want to thank you for sitting here and talking to me and giving me all your secrets, because I think it's great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, any last words?
I love everybody. I think everybody has value. So, I mean, I might not know who you are when you're watching this, but just know that you're valued, and you know, I love you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Appreciate
Enjoy,
it.
world.